All right, I want you to imagine something with me for a second, okay? I want you to think back to maybe a time when you were in middle school. For some of you, that wasn't very long ago, so it shouldn't be that difficult. I started thinking about, back when I was in middle school, about a very specific moment in time that I want you to kind of picture with me or think about your experience to go there with me. In middle school, we would do this thing in my middle school where every year, about this time of year, we would have a Valentine's Day dance. Man, right out of the gates, all right. At our Valentine's Day dance, we would pack out our middle school gymnasium with all of our middle schoolers. You know, it would have some kind of photo booth and streamers and heart-shaped everythings. And it was really our opportunity to kind of lay it out all on the line and show our crush, you know, our true feelings. Yeah, it was sweet. But being middle schoolers, we struggled to come through. And so if you can for a minute, I want you to journey back in time with me to my middle school dance and picture this in your mind's eye of, you know, a middle school gymnasium packed full of middle school students. You know, the guys are wearing their dad's blazers that don't quite fit right, you know? They've got on a shirt that probably needed to be pressed and their mom fussed at them as they walked out the door. They're wearing their only nice pair of pants that they have that still fit, and probably some hand-me-down loafers that they got from their big brother. Meanwhile, the girls are, you know, dressed in, makeup that they're still figuring out how to wear. They've got their hair in hairstyles that they immediately regret when they see the pictures. And of course, they're wearing dresses that made their dads angry when they left the house. And so you put all these people in a room together, and of course, it kind of comes this big group of people dancing, right? Like we're doing the cha-cha slide and they're playing all these, you know, fast songs. It's kind of a big thing where everybody's in a big ball together dancing. And then the DJ kind of comes over the microphone. He's like, hey, all you cool Carlisle Park Middle School students. At this time, we're gonna bring it down a little bit. Oh, you guys know where this is going. It's the dreaded moment of the night when they decide to bring it down for a little bit. And I asked my friends back here at front of house if they could help me bring it down a little bit so you could picture it better in your mind's eye. So we're gonna bring it down a little bit in here. There we go. They'd set the mood lighting, right? And we would go from like the cha-cha slide where, you know, everybody clap your hands and it's like, right? Like, you know, real high energy into we bring it down. And it starts playing, right? The song starts and immediately it's like the parting of the Red Sea with Moses. The guys on this wall, the girls on that wall, and all the brave souls who dared to come to the middle get all of their energy and all the guts they could muster to ask for a dance, right? And their palms are sweaty, their braces are all throughout the room, deodorant is definitely not. And they start to dance. You guys know the dance, right? Being very careful not to make eye contact so neither of you catch feelings. You gotta leave room for Jesus, right? The original social distancing is middle school dances, right? There wasn't even a pandemic. We needed masks, not for, you know, virus sake, but because we had, you know, Olive Garden garlic bread on our breaths, you know? We're trying not to catch feelings and we're really trying not to step on anyone's toes. You guys can imagine what it was like, right? You did. Some of you guys lived it. Well, in that room that night, there was a middle school version of Heath, scared to death on that one wall. He's not gonna ask his crush for a dance. Some of you guys experienced that. Some of you guys lived that. Some of you guys, that was your introduction to the Lonely Hearts Club. Now, when I say the Lonely Hearts Club, I feel like I need to explain myself because a lot of people in this room probably think that means that you're single or whatever, and that's not what it really means. Here's what it means. What the Lonely Hearts Club, what it's not is people who don't have a Valentine. Look, there's a lot of people who don't have a Valentine. Like, if you don't have a Valentine, you're not special, okay? Like, there are a lot of people who don't have a Valentine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. What the Lonely Hearts Club is full of is people who are carrying baggage from really bad relationship experiences. Let me explain. If you were that middle school boy who was like, hey, hey, can I get a dance on the next slow song? And the girl's like, oh, well, I was gonna dance with Brandon on the next one. And you're like, oh, okay, and you, right. That is the Lonely Hearts Club, okay? It's this like baggage of I put myself out there and I got rejected. You got it. There's a lot of rejection happening in this part of the room. You guys have been there, you know. So tonight, if you hear the talk and you're like, well, I'm not in the Lonely Hearts Club, it's not a relationship status thing. It's a relationship baggage thing, okay? And so tonight, what I wanted to give you guys was we're continuing our series on habits, and I wanted to give you guys 10 habits to guarantee your place in the Lonely Hearts Club. And what I mean by that is tonight I'm gonna give you 10 habits that if you do these 10 things, I promise you will carry a lot of baggage into your next relationship experience. If you do these 10 things, your dating life is gonna be worse than it is currently. Some of you're gonna see yourself in these 10 things and you're gonna realize, hey, maybe I should try the opposite. Okay, so this is gonna be kind of a quick thing. I'm gonna move fast, so if you need to like write down notes or take a picture of the screen, I'm gonna keep it moving. But we're gonna cover the 10 things that I want you guys to do that will guarantee that you have relationship baggage. Okay, everybody with me? All right, here we go. In some of this, I think it's really important for us to highlight that the Bible doesn't talk a lot about dating because in the Bible's times, most marriages were arranged. And so there wasn't a lot of dating going on, but the Bible does have a lot to say about love, about relationships, and most importantly, about how we treat one another. And so throughout these 10 things, I didn't want to have a Bible verse with all of them because then I'm just quoting the whole Bible to you all night. But there are some Bible verses that speak to some of my 10 points, just so that you guys know I'm not pulling these out of nowhere, all right? So without further ado, habit number 1, date because everyone else is dating. Guys, if you start dating just because you feel like everyone else is dating, you're setting yourself up for failure, okay? If you begin to date because you think, well, everybody else is doing it, so I guess I might as well, that's a horrible excuse to start dating. In fact, if someone comes up to you and says, hey, do you wanna go out with me? I've really noticed that everyone else has started to date and you're the only person I could find. You do not wanna go out with that person, okay? Here's the truth about dating. In high school, only about 40% of high schoolers date while in high school. So the myth is that everyone is dating in high school is actually not true. Over half of high schoolers actually don't date in high school. So when you begin to feel pressure from the outside, you think, well, everybody else is doing it. That's actually not true. There's just a certain amount of people in your life who are doing it and you want to be in the same place that they are. Because here's the thing, dating is not for everyone. And even if it is for you, it may not be the right time for you to begin dating. Marriage is not promised to everyone. The Apostle Paul says that singleness is a gift. And if you are single, it is not a failure to be single. In fact, some of the greatest times of my life, some of the greatest personal growth times of my life are times when I was like, hey, I'm clearly a train wreck. I have no idea what I'm doing with dating. Maybe I should take a step back and work on me. So if you're in a season where you feel pressure to start dating, just remember, a season of singleness can be very beneficial for you in your life. All right, number 2, only date someone you see as physically attractive. Here's the thing, guys, girls, you probably all already know this. Certain people you're going to find more attractive than others. That's not breaking news. If the only reason that you want to date someone is because you find them physically attractive, you should make sure that there's at least one more reason why you want to go on a date with them. Because I've been doing this ministry thing for a long time, and when I was at my last church, I would do this thing where they would ask certain people on staff, they would say, hey, we really need someone from the church to go to this nursing home and like pray, do like a devotion and pray with these older people. And I promise you guys, I didn't find a single attractive person in the entire nursing home. So if the only reason that you like someone is because you find them physically attractive, that clock is a ticking, and that cannot be the only thing that your relationship is built on. Because as I would walk through there, I didn't find anyone that I was like, that 80-year-old Meemaw over there's got it going on. Like that just doesn't happen, right? Beauty fades, outward beauty fades, gravity wins, and eventually everything gets wrinkly. And so if the only reason that you're dating someone is because you find them physically attractive, you're setting yourself up for failure. And we know this to be true because God says that that's how he views us. That we look at someone's outward appearance and we judge them, but God judges people based on what's in their heart. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, it says this, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." When God sees us, he doesn't look at our outward appearance. He looks at what's going on in who we are on the inside. He looks at our thoughts, our actions. He looks at our behaviors and how we treat people. And when you begin to look to somebody that you want to give some of your time to, some of your precious life to, you only get one life. And if you're gonna give part of your life to someone in a dating relationship, make sure that there's someone who has something going on the inside, that there's something within them that you value and that you enjoy in their personality and in who they are. Which brings me to number three. Number three, date someone with different values or beliefs. If you want a fast road to the Lonely Hearts Club, date someone who has a totally different set of values or beliefs than you do. Because here's the thing, I've heard it time and time and time again, people say, well, we don't really believe the same thing, but I know that once he dates me, he's gonna wanna come to church and he's just gonna see all the ways that he can make his life better. We call this missionary dating and it's largely unsuccessful, okay? Typically, if you start dating someone hoping that they will change for you, what usually happens is actually quite the opposite, and you begin to change for them. So if you want to have the fast track to the Lonely Hearts Club, begin to date someone, not because of you have so much in common or you have similar value systems or similar belief systems, but if you date someone who has the opposite of those things, hoping that they'll change, hoping that they'll begin to see it your way, hoping that you can make a difference in their life, typically you're setting yourself up for the one who's gonna change, the one who's gonna have their values and beliefs compromised. And this is really important, and the Bible speaks to this too in the book of 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled, bad company corrupts good character. If you surround yourself with people who believe differently than you, who behave differently than you, who are prone to get into trouble, and you're like, well, I come to Inside Out, I listen to the talks or whatever, like I can change them. I promise you, you can't. You might be able to be a good influence on their lives, but you can't change them. They're their own person. So if you think that you can change someone, trust me, you're on the fast track to the Lonely Hearts Club. Number 4, make everything all about you. If you've ever met someone who makes everything all about them, you know very quickly, you can only stand to be around that person for a certain amount of time before you're like, I need a break, okay? I need some space from you because everything that happens in your life is all about you. And if you begin to date someone and you begin to treat them that way and make the relationship all about you, the things that you need, the things that you want, the things that you want them to sacrifice for you, eventually they're gonna have the same feelings and they're gonna want some space between you and them. Instead of making everything all about you, instead, relationships are supposed to be, as our pastor Andy Stanley says, a submission competition. It should be, hey, me putting aside everything that I want and think and need to help you, and the other person putting aside their wants and needs and things to help me. And it's one another, it's each of us meeting one another's needs so that it's not all about one person, but we're taking care of one another. So if you make everything all about you, eventually the relationship is gonna go south. The Apostle Paul says this in Philippians chapter 2, where he says, don't be selfish, don't try to impress others. Instead, be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. And this could not be more appropriate than in a dating relationship. All right, number 5, keep impossible expectations. I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but there's this song that's really viral right now on TikTok that's called Mad at Disney. I don't know if you've heard this, but here's the lyrics to it. Here's the song that says Mad at Disney. I'm mad at Disney, they tricked me, had me wishing on a shooting star, but now I'm 20-something, I still know nothing about who I am or what I'm not. And in the song, the girl that's singing is basically taking her anger out on Disney. She says, hey, like in all these movies and all these TV shows and everything that we see, as soon as the couple falls in love and the moment happens where they kiss, you guys have seen the Hallmark movie, right? The snow begins to fall and everything works out perfectly in the end. The credits roll, the movie ends, and we have no idea what happens after that. And the truth is, we oftentimes think and begin to believe that, well, just because everything worked out at the end of the movie, their relationship is easy. No. Here's the truth. Falling in love is the easiest part of relationships. Staying in love is the hardest part of relationships. When the movie ends, there's a reason they end the movie when the guy and girl fall in love, because after that, they start fighting. After that, they start butting heads on stuff. After that, they have to actually work on themselves and be selfless and put the other person ahead of themselves and all the things we've been talking about. And it's really, really, really difficult. And so, if you keep impossible expectations, oftentimes the other person is going to let you down. If you have the expectation to say, hey, I really like you and you really like me, let's try to figure this out together, that's a really healthy, level-headed way to approach relationship rather than, well, I found the person I'm gonna spend the whole rest of my life with. At my middle school dance, we slow danced to Edwin McCain, right? Like that's like, hey, you're getting way ahead of yourself. There's a lot of growing and changing you're gonna do for the rest of your life. So keep your expectations to a reasonable level. Oh, number 6, this one's gonna not feel good. If it feels good, you should do it. Whew. All right, how do I explain this one? So in relationships, we are often tempted that if it feels good, we should do it. Here's the thing, guys. Obviously, if we're gonna talk about dating stuff, you know that we have to talk about sex. And I'm just gonna say it because you guys are adults and I'm gonna treat you as such. And when it comes to those kind of topics, here's the thing that people don't tell you. Sex comes with baggage. In my 10 years of doing student ministry and hanging out with high school students just like you, I have never once had a student break up with someone and say, man, I just really wish we would have had sex so that I could carry that baggage with me into my future relationships. No one has ever said that to me. Now, I've heard dozens and dozens and dozens of times is, man, I really wish me and that girl hadn't hooked up because now I have to explain it to my future wife one day about her and how she broke my heart and all these things. And now I just feel a lot of guilt and shame. In fact, the way God designed sex is that he didn't design it so that if it feels good, do it. God intended sex to be between two people who are committed to each other for life. Because the whole idea is that sex is not just a physical thing, it's an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual thing. And that when you share that intimacy with someone, you are giving yourself to them. And when you begin to give yourself to multiple partners or to multiple people, you begin to kind of feel like you are losing a sense of yourself. And so God designed it a certain way, not to keep you guys from doing something that feels good or is supposed to be fun. He designed it that way because it's something special designed for one person in your life. And I know the church has handled this kind of topic terribly over the years, and I promise you, if you've already failed in this category, it's okay. In fact, statistically speaking, I would venture to say there's a lot of people in this room who already aren't perfect at this one. And that's okay. God still loves you. He still forgives you, and he knows that he has a bigger and better plan for your life. But he doesn't want you to keep repeating the same mistakes, hoping that it's gonna get better. In fact, in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18, it says, run from sexual sin. No other sin so clearly affects the body as this one does. For sexual immorality is a sin against your own body. You're literally hurting yourself. And so if it feels good, do it is a terrible piece of advice for dating, especially at your stage in life, because you're giving yourself away in ways that you will not be able to get back. All right, I know that was really heavy. So number 7 is gonna be a little bit lighter hearted, all right? Number 7, only communicate when it's convenient for you. Whew, all right, guys in the room, guys make some noise real quick, fellas. Hey, all right, cool. Cool, I'm interested in a girl, I need you to know something, okay? Girls are not weekend hobbies. All right, so if you need a weekend hobby, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. If you need a weekend hobby, go to Academy and buy a fishing pole, okay? If you want a girlfriend, understand that it's a commitment to a relationship, all right? So there's a give and take here, all right? Now, guys, just saying how it is, like you can't just communicate her between games of, on Xbox, right? Like when you and the boys are offline, like you're gonna have to put forward some time and effort, energy to being in a relationship, all right? All right, now ladies, you have to understand one thing. The healthiest version of a guy is not him making you the center of his entire world. Because The healthiest version of a guy, he does have hobbies. He does hang with his friends. He does do things with his hands. He does hang out and do things that aren't involving you, okay? And I know that doesn't feel great, but if you expect him to drop his entire life and center his life around you, you're gonna have impossible expectations, which we just covered. That's not gonna happen, okay? So for the fellows in the room, girls aren't weak in hobbies. For the girls in the room, guys aren't puppies that are gonna follow you everywhere you go, all right? That's just how it is. All right, number eight, just hang out together. Man, have I had a dime for every time I've heard this one. Once again, I'm gonna kind of address the guys and girls separately for a second. Ladies in the room, let me help you out with guys for a second. Guys follow the path of least resistance. Whatever the easiest version of the thing that we're doing is the way we're gonna do it, okay? We don't really pay attention to anything else other than what's the least amount of effort I have to put into this. So if you let him, he will put forth the least amount of effort into you that you allow him to get away with. So the next time the guy texts you, says, hey, do you wanna come over and just hang for the 10th weekend in a row? Say, no, I would not like to come over and just hang. You can plan a date night and ask me out on a proper date, and I would like to go on a date with you. And that's okay. If he doesn't do that, maybe you should find a new date. All right. Now, guys in the room, dates don't have to be difficult. They don't have to be expensive. They have to have effort. You have to show her that you thought about this before 10 minutes before you texted her, okay? A walk in a park can be a date. A picnic can be a date. You can, man, one of the greatest ideas that I thought about as a date is this, doing like a, one of those progressive dinners where you go through drive-thrus and the first stop you get something to drink, the next one you stop and get like a burger, the next one you get French fries, the next one you get like a milkshake or something. Grand total is gonna cost you like $15, but it's fun and it's something different and you can spend time in the car and you can listen to playlists or talk about music, or it's time spent intentionally together. Now, ladies in the room, what I mean by dates is time spent intentionally together, all right? The guys that you're dating at this stage in life are high school boys, okay? They don't have full-time jobs. They don't have the amount of time and money that these Instagram influencer couples do. They can't fly you around the world. Sometimes you're gonna have to be cool with them taking you to Chick-fil-A for, a dinner because that's all they got, right? So at the same time, guys, more effort, girls, more grace when it kind of sucks, okay? So there you go. Don't just hang out together. Number 9, if you want out, ghost. Boy, I tell you. If you've ever had this happen to you, you know it doesn't feel really good when they just ghost on you, right? In fact, the book of Matthew talks about not specifically ghosting, but about this kind of idea. In Matthew 7:12, it says this, do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. So if you've ever had someone cold turkey just quit talking to you, quit responding to your text, quit, being part of your life and they just ghost you, it doesn't feel really good. So please, if you're gonna dating is a thing that adults do to prepare for marriage. So if you're going to date, be an adult, have a hard conversation. Hey, I'm no longer interested in you. We should see other people. There's no easy way to break up with someone. There's no easy way to stop communication or stop talking or texting or whatever it is. There's no easy way. They're all hard. Pick one, have it, move on, okay? Ghosting just hurts. Don't do it. All right, the last one, number 10, find Mr. or Miss Right. Here's the thing. So many of us have bought into the myth that there is a one person out there that's for us, that there's a Mr. Right or a Miss Right out there that we just have to find the one. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I do believe that every single person in this world is a work in progress. Now, at the end, God has a big plan for their life, but we're still a work in progress. The Apostle Paul says in Ephesians 2:10, he says, for we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. God has big plans for everyone's lives, okay? Being Mr. Right or being Miss Right may not be the plan for their life. It may not be the plan for your life. So don't be so consumed with finding the perfect person for you because the perfect person doesn't exist. All of us are works in progress. We're God's masterpiece, but we're not perfect. There's no such thing as Mr. Right or Miss Right. Our lead pastor, Andy Stanley, says this. He says, be more concerned with becoming the right person instead of finding the right person. During this time of your life, what I want you to focus on is becoming the right person, to build habits into your life, to build habits into your dating life so that you become the kind of person that is admirable for the person you're trying to date, right? Instead of waiting on the perfect person to fall into your lap, spend your high school days becoming the kind of person that people want to spend time with, that people want to go on dates with, that they hope you ask them on a date, that you have a long list of people that say, man, that person is fantastic. I just want to spend more time with him or her. Because at the end of the day, what we at Inside Out really want from you guys more than anything else is for you to have healthy habits that you carry the rest of your life in. And the habits that you build into your dating life today in high school, you're gonna carry with you throughout. We call it tonight the Lonely Hearts Club because we understand that when we talk about dating, dating comes with baggage. And maybe some of you haven't started dating yet, and that's okay, you have time. Maybe some of you have started dating and it didn't go so great, so you're not dating currently. That's okay, you have time. And maybe some of you are dating now and you're happy and things are going great. That's okay. Nothing but time, right? What I want more than anything else is for you guys to know that God has a bigger plan for your lives. He has a bigger plan for what you accomplish and what you do in this world. And more than anything else, that he loves you and that he wants you to not only feel his love, but also to share it with whoever he puts into your life. My bottom line, and I'll close with this, is this. It says, you can love when you have received the ultimate love. You can begin to love this concept, this idea of love, even if you've been burned in the past. Even if you don't have the perfect examples at home with your parents on what love's supposed to look like. Even if you have a long history of failed things. Even if everything I've said here tonight you are guilty of doing. God has a plan for you. And you can turn this around. And you can learn to love when you begin to see yourself as someone who is worthy of love from your Heavenly Father. Tonight, you're gonna go to small groups. You're gonna talk about all these things. I'm gonna challenge you to pick out a few that your group can dissect and hopefully have a couple that you can work on in your life. But first, I would like to pray for you before we go. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much just for the opportunity we had to talk about dating in the room tonight. Lord, I know that across this room, nobody's in the same place as anyone else. There's people in the room who haven't started dating. There's people in the room who have started dating, and there's people who are dating well, people not so much. And God, all along the spectrum, we have people walking through it right now. And so, Lord, wherever they are and whatever they're going through when it comes to this, I pray that you would just help them to first and foremost see themselves as someone who's worthy to be loved by you, a masterpiece, a work in progress of who you have called them and created them to be. And as they navigate the dating scene, or as they say, hey, I'll worry about that later in life, or wherever they are in this, God, I pray that you would just constantly remind them of how loved they are by you, and that the ultimate love we found when you laid down your life on the cross. God, I pray that we would exhibit that love to all that we come across, but especially in our dating relationships and people that we are giving our lives to. And Lord, that we would leave this place as better followers of you because of that. I pray all these things in Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. Hey, next week is President's Day weekend, so we're taking Sunday off. So we will see you guys again on February 21st. It's 2 weeks from today. Have a great night, and go Bucks.